Before I met my wife, I really did not expect something like spiders in video games to be a real worry that I would have to see to in life. I've known of their existence, I played games that have them, but these creatures never particularly bothered me, and so I never focused on them. When we started dating and eventually gaming together, however, I ran into this issue. She would just plain out refuse to play any game that had spiders in it. It felt weird to me at first, because I never felt the same way. I'm not a fan of spiders myself, I find them very displeasing to look at, I'm scared they will seek revenge whenever one of them escapes the sole of my boot, and have just a genuine disgust for them. In spite of all that, I never really cared for video game spiders. I guess maybe it's because I got used to seeing various monsters in video games from very early on in my life, and so my brain has learned to distinguish an on-screen spider from the real one, or it's just that my presumed phobia is more of just a big fear. Or it might be due to the fact that women seem to be more susceptible to it. When I started my quest on introducing my wife to this hobby, however, I ran into this big wall. When I understood her video game tastes a little bit, I started to shop around, looked through my co-op library and the store pages, and I found many great games I always wanted to try out or have someone to play with. When I started to remember how these games played or watched the trailers, however, my list got smaller and smaller. Now, I'm not here to tell you every video game has spiders in it, because that would just be hilariously untrue, but for some reason, a lot of the games I thought my wife would enjoy and I wanted her to play with me or at least try out, have spiders in them in one way or another. I wanted to play Satisfactory with her recently. It has spiders in it. I thought of Grounded, you know, that's a nice survival co-op game with cute art style about getting shrinked and trying to survive in a garden, surrounded by cute little creatures like grubs, ants, and spiders. Huge ass fucking spiders. Okay, next. Deep Rock Galactic. I adore that game and would love to have someone to grind the game out with. Nope. Unfortunately, though not actually being spiders, the bugs in the game resemble them too closely to not trigger the alarms going off in her head. And you might say that these are just exceptions. I'm specifically choosing games that have these creatures in them to prove my point. But I don't really think that's the case. You can attempt this yourself, just try. In the upcoming games you'll play, try and focus if the game has spiders in it in some form. It doesn't specifically have to be an enemy type per se, it can just be a quote-unquote world-building aspect. In an open-world game, for example, you enter the cave systems and you start seeing spider webs at first, and then little spiders crawl away when you burn the web down or something like that. And I find it very odd sometimes because it really doesn't have to be like this. Spiders in caves can very easily be replaced by bats, for example, like in the Horizon games. In LEGO Fortnite, they could just be genuinely anything else. And the gameplay aspect or the general feel of the scene would, in most cases, not change much. The more I thought about this issue, the more I started to see it in a vast majority of games I played. And with arachnophobia and just the general disgust with spiders being one of the most spread phobias, I find it increasingly more puzzling how over-reliant the game industry is on these creatures and why developers choose to put specifically them into their games so often. And then I come across posts like this one, and comments like this, and this, and this. And I feel like I have to say something. I can understand when a game is built on the idea of something being the main topic that game is going to explore, like how Subnautica is primarily focused on discovering an unexplored planet with a scary deep ocean with its mysteries and dangers waiting in its dark corners. A person with thalassophobia, the fear of deep bodies of water, should understand that specifically this game is not for them, and they're not gonna scream into the void how the devs should change their main core feature to appeal specifically to them. They're just not gonna play this one particular game and go about their life. I can understand a game like A Webbing Journey is not gonna replace their main protagonist with a completely different bug or animal. That just makes no sense. And any normal person with or without arachnophobia can realize this and respect it. And even though I used Grounded as an example just a minute before, I understand why they have and use particularly spiders in their game, and it makes complete sense. And so we get to the point you've all been screaming at the screen for since the start of this video. Just turn on the Arachnophobia mode. Well, let's talk about this. Arachnophobia mode in games is a great feature, and I applaud any company that puts it in their game. It is not, however, the simple flip the switch fix you'll think it is. For someone like me, it's a great help when I don't want to deal with these creatures or they're especially scary in this video game in particular. Turning on the cat holograms over the spider bodies in Satisfactory is a great use of this feature, one of the best to date. The Arachnophobia mode in Lethal Company is also a great one. It just turns the model of the spider into a simple word on the screen saying spider. The issue I want to tackle here though lies in a few points. Firstly, some games that feature spiders just flat out don't include an Arachnophobia mode. I wanted to play Lego Fortnite with my wife some time ago, because Fortnite is one of the games she likes to play, and she also likes games like Minecraft and Stardew Valley, so this was almost the perfect mix. The problem though, there's these little fucking spiders in the game that just jump out at you from the grass whenever you go near it, giving you a small jump scare or a minor heart attack if you're suffering from the phobia. And it's not just a once in a long while occurrence, these creatures pop out at you almost constantly. And you can't even turn them off because you need the resources they drop to progress in the game. I keep looking online every now and then, did they finally put in an Arachnophobia mode? And every time I walk away disappointed. That's the main reason for why I never played Lego Fortnite to this day. And I just find this very strange because if a game features spiders, it should automatically also feature an Arachnophobia mode in my opinion. You know how basically every modern game that is made today has, for example, colorblind accessibility features. Only around 4.5% of the global population suffers from some form of colorblindness. On the other hand, 3.5 to 6% of the global population suffers from arachnophobia, meaning that, on average, at least the same number of people are affected by arachnophobia as by colorblindness. And this is only considering those with clinically significant symptoms of arachnophobia. So the argument being thrown around that so few people suffer from this, therefore there is no reason to cater to them, is just incorrect. And this is just a side rant, but holy shit! When I was doing my research on this issue, there was literally no way to safely look this up. Why is it that literally every article about this issue has multiple photos of the biggest and scariest spiders on the planet plastered all over it? How is a person trying to learn or understand this topic and their condition supposed to do it when they get thrown into a world of hurt and paralysis even by research and expository articles? I know how a spider looks, you don't have to show me 5 different variations in full HD to fuel my nightmare demons anymore. The second issue is, even if the game has an arachnophobia mode, it might just not be a good implementation of it. I mentioned Satisfactory before, and although it has a great arachnophobia mode that I gladly turned on and used throughout my playthrough, I could still see myself moving in disgust and flinching occasionally because I just know that these are spiders behind the cat holograms. Also because when the enemy spider dies, the hologram disappears altogether, so the mask lifts and you're left with a corpse of the alien spider. So the whole facade of trying to trick my brain into thinking it's actually not spiders falls apart in that instance, And for someone with real arachnophobia, this game is still a no-go. Grounded, with its big-ass spider enemies, also features an arachnophobia mode. They, however, take a different approach, thinking it's actually the legs or the fangs of the spiders that make people so scared of them. And although that is a big part of the formula, it's not the only one. If you turn on the arachnophobia mode, they still leave in the squishy sounds the spiders of that size would make, and just that is enough for someone even like me to be completely horrified and wanna burn it all down. And quite frankly, seeing the spider walk towards you with invisible limbs, just individual blobs that still move like the limbs are still there, just unseeable to you, makes it somehow more horrifying? Furthermore, just recently, Monster Hunter Wilds came out, and hey, they have an arachnophobia mode present in the game. It turns the spiders into green slime. Pretty neat, huh? Well, until you realize the mode doesn't work for the 2 giant spider bosses in the game. What the f? When I think about how I would like developers to implement a good arachnophobia mode, it should make it so the person that turns it on wouldn't even ever figure out that that specific enemy or world-building element is a spider. And at that point, what's the reason to even put spiders in the game when you're gonna spend all this time and energy on creating a quote-unquote immersive arachnophobia mode, you ask? And that's exactly my point. So I implore you, developers, before you put spiders into your game, think about this. Do they really need to be an enemy type? Do they even fit the world you're building? Can't you change them to be something else, like bats or rats, etc.? And also, there's already so many games with spiders in it. Be different, be unique. And if you really have to put them in, think of us, the lonely boyfriends and husbands that just want their best friend to play their favorite games with them. And create a truly good, functional arachnophobia mode or system that completely eradicates even the thought that spiders are part of the base game, and let these individuals love and enjoy your game as well. Thank you for listening. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this issue, and don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Rantologue out.